working? Good. So, good evening, everyone. Welcome. Are some of you here for the first time? First, yes. Okay, welcome. So, what we usually do, this is Tuesday night, right? Yeah. So, what we usually do here on Tuesday nights is it's a class called Discovering Buddhism. And it's kind of an ongoing class we just started in January, so it hasn't been going on for too long. But we're on a section of the course that is looking at meditation, about Buddhist meditation. And we're just covering it kind of in a brief way in the Tuesday night class, because on Thursday nights I'm teaching also a meditation class, which is more long-term and ongoing. So I figure if people really want to know more about meditation, they can come to the Thursday night class. So I'm just covering it in a brief way on Tuesday nights. So far I have explained a basic kind of meditation practice using the breath. And we have been practicing that, and we will again tonight practice meditation on the breath. So I'll just talk for a little while and then we'll do some meditation. Have any of you never done meditation before? A little bit. Anyway, it's not too difficult. I think it's pretty basic one, and we won't meditate for too long. And then I started talking about how there are different kinds of meditation, especially in the Tibetan tradition of Buddhism. There's not just one kind of meditation that we do all the time, every time, but there are different meditations that are done at different times for different purposes, to work on different aspects of ourselves. So what I'll do tonight is the first part of this session. We'll do some meditation on the breath, and then after the break, we usually have a halftime break. I'll lead another kind of meditation and explain that beforehand. So I won't go into that now. And just to repeat a few things I've mentioned before, but since there are new people here tonight, in Buddhism, the purpose of practicing meditation is really to bring about a transformation of our mind. So according to Buddhism, we each have a mind, and our mind is not something physical in our body. It's not like our brain or any other part of our body. It's, according to Buddhism, it's considered to be a non-material, non-physical kind of energy, we could say. So it's not physical at all. It's not made of cells or atoms or particles or anything like that. It's just a non-physical kind of energy. And it's that part of us that knows, that experiences. And so all the different experiences that we have, which include thinking, but also emotions and just our basic perceptions like seeing, hearing, smelling, and so forth. So all of those are part of our mind. Also memories and dreams. When we sleep at night, we have dreams. So all of those are part of our mind. So the mind is quite a big thing. It's very complex. It has many different parts, many different kinds of experiences. And it's going on all the time. It never stops, 24 hours a day. Even when we're asleep, our mind is still going and doing something, experiencing something. So in Buddhism, mind is considered a very important topic, and there's a lot of discussion about the mind, but also a lot of work with the mind, because basically Buddhism says that our mind has a lot of positive potential. We have a lot of positive qualities in our mind, things like love and compassion and patience, and also intelligence and courage and wisdom. So we have a lot of positive things in our mind, but we also have some things which are not so positive. For example, anger and hatred and greed and jealousy and selfishness and confusion and depression and so forth. So there's some aspects of our mind that are not positive, that are unpleasant for ourselves to experience, but also they can be unpleasant for other people. Like when we get angry, we get all caught up in anger, then the way we talk, the way we act, we can hurt other people and make problems for them. So according to Buddhism, we can work on our mind, and gradually, it's not like all at once, but slowly and gradually, we can change our mind. We can reduce those parts of the mind that are problematic, that create problems for ourselves and others. We can slowly reduce those so that they don't come up so much. And we can work on increasing the parts of our mind that are positive, that bring happiness and peace to ourselves and others. And it's meditation, which is the kind of tool or method for doing that, for bringing about that kind of transformation of the mind. So that's the real purpose of meditation in Buddhism. It's not just to have a nice feeling, have a nice experience, but it's actually to work on our mind and change our mind, make it more positive, more peaceful, have more positive experiences and things that are more helpful for others and more helpful for the world, and decrease those aspects of the mind that create problems for ourselves and for others and for the world. And it's a gradual process. Like I say, it's not something that happens all at once, but the more we work on it, I can say this for myself. I can really see how my mind has changed since I started practicing meditation. So I know it's possible. I know it works, but it does take time. So you can't expect like immediately, big changes happening in the mind. So that's the general idea of meditation in Buddhism. And then there are different kinds of meditation. So as I said, I already introduced this type of meditation that uses the breath. Well, so basically it just involves watching our breath, being aware of our breath coming in and going out. And this kind of meditation can be used for different purposes. One is to calm down, just to become more calm and more relaxed. And it's also a way of training ourselves to have concentration, to be able to concentrate our mind more. That's a really important thing in Buddhism, to have a concentrated mind, the ability to focus our mind and keep it focused on whatever we choose, so that it's not just running wild all over the place. Meditation on the breath can be used for other things as well, but so far I've only talked about it in that sense of using it for calming down the mind and then training the mind to be more focused or more concentrated. So let's do some practice of this now. And there's a connection, even though I said the mind is not a physical thing, it's not part of the body, but there is a connection between the mind and the body. So that means that the way we hold our body, the way we sit, will have an effect on our mind. So meditators for hundreds of years, thousands of years, have found that a certain way of sitting helps to have a better experience in meditation. So that involves sitting cross-legged. That doesn't mean you have to sit cross-legged. It's okay to sit in a chair, so don't worry. You feel more comfortable in a chair, that's okay too. But if you can sit cross-legged, it's actually helpful because it's easier to keep the back straight. And in fact, that is the most important thing when we meditate, is trying to keep the back straight. So, so if you're sitting cross-legged, just have your legs crossed in whatever way is comfortable for you. If you're sitting on a chair, have your feet flat on the floor. And then either way, whether you're sitting on the floor or in a chair, see if you can sit with a straight back. And even though the back should be straight, we shouldn't hunch the shoulders. We shouldn't make our shoulders tight. So just let your shoulders drop and be relaxed. And then you can place your hands in different ways. In our tradition, we usually put put the hands in the lap with the right hand on top of the left, palms facing upwards, and then the two thumbs touching. So there's a reason for placing the hands in that way. It relates to the flow of energy in the body. But if you prefer another way of holding your hands, if you've done other kinds of meditations and you've learned another way of placing your hands, for example, on the knees, and if you're more comfortable with that, then that's okay too. So be comfortable. And then it's also recommended that we have our head and our chin tilted downwards just a little bit, not held up too high nor bent down too low. So just slightly downwards. And then the mouth and the jaw should be natural and relaxed. Don't clench your teeth. Don't have your teeth tight or your jaw tight. Just let it be relaxed. And ideally, when we meditate, we breathe in and out through our nose, through our nostrils. So then the mouth should be closed. But if you have a problem breathing through your nose, for example, if you have a cold and your nose is blocked up and you can't breathe through your nose, then of course you need to use your mouth for breathing. But if you can breathe through your nose, then let your mouth be closed. And it's also a good idea, if you can, to put the tip of your tongue on the roof of your mouth behind the upper teeth. So just let the tip of your tongue rest there behind the upper teeth. So the reason for that is then we don't have to swallow so much. Swallowing can become disturbing or distracting if you get really calm in meditation. So try to do that if you can. And then the eyes, it's actually a good idea not to close the eyes completely, but leave them open a little bit. The reason for that is if we close our eyes, then we might find ourselves falling asleep, especially if if you've been busy all day and you may be very tired right now. So when you close your eyes, you might start to go to sleep. And ideally, we don't want to go to sleep in meditation. We want to stay awake and alert. So to prevent sleepiness, you can have your eyes open just a little, enough to allow some light to come into your eyes. And that will help you to stay awake. But if you find that difficult and uncomfortable, keeping your eyes open just a little that way, and you find that too distracting, too disturbing, it's okay to close your eyes. Just try to avoid falling asleep. And if you do start to feel sleepy and fall asleep, then open your eyes up a little bit. It can help. So that's the recommended way of sitting for doing meditation. And it's also important to be relaxed as much as we can. So let's do something to try to enhance a relaxed state. So one way we can do this is to take a few deep breaths, breathing in slowly and deeply, and hold the breath for just a moment, and then let the breath go out slowly. And you can actually let the breath go out through your mouth. So you breathe in through your nose and let the breath go out through your mouth, but let it go out slowly. And you can imagine if there's any tension, any tightness, any discomfort in your body, it goes out with the breath. Imagine it just going out of you and disappearing in space. So do that for 3 breaths. Breathing in slowly, deeply, breathing out slowly, and then go back to a normal rate of breathing. So just let your body breathe in a normal, natural way and try not to interfere with your breathing. Just let the breath flow in and out. Sometimes your breath might be longer, sometimes shorter, sometimes deeper. So that's okay. The body knows how much breath, how much air it needs to take in. So just let it do as it needs to. So we're going to be focusing or concentrating our mind on the breath as it's coming in and going out. So that's the object of our attention. So try to be aware of where you feel the breath most clearly, most easily. For some people, it might be the abdomen. There's a little bit of a movement of the abdomen in and out with the breath. You could also be aware of the chest coming in and out or rising up and down, rising and falling with each breath. And there's also the tradition of being aware of the sensations around the nostrils, which is like the gateway for the air, the breath to come in and go out of the body. So that's another place where people sometimes pay attention to the breath as it's coming into the nostrils and going out of them again. So choose one of those places and then do the best you can to just stay focused or concentrated at that place, paying attention to whatever sensations you're able to feel as your breathing is happening, as the breath is coming in and then as it's going out. Now, it's not so easy to stay focused or concentrated on the breath. It's not easy to stay concentrated on anything for more than a few seconds. So, one thing that can help to stay concentrated on the breath is counting. And one way of counting is to just say to yourself as you're breathing in, and then breathing out, 1. Breathing in, breathing out, 2. And continue counting up to 5. If you're new at meditation, it's better to just go up to 5 breaths, and then go back to 1. And you just keep counting like that, up to 5 again and again. And then if you're more experienced in meditation, you could count more. You could count up to 10 or even 20 as you wish. So the counting is optional. You don't have to do it, but it can be helpful to really keep your mind focused on the breath. And also be aware if your mind loses the breath and wanders away to something else. So that will probably happen. Don't be surprised if you find yourself thinking about something, for example, something that happened to you during the day today or some other time in the past, or thinking about plans that you have for later tonight or tomorrow. So our mind is always doing that. It's always wandering away to the past or the future or other places. So that'll continue happening while we're meditating. So try to notice if that happens, if your mind wanders away, And if it does, then just remind yourself that you're supposed to be watching the breath. So just take your mind away from that other thought and bring it back to the breath, back to the counting if you're doing that. And even if you have to do that again and again, it's okay. That's part of the practice of meditation. So remember to be aware of what is going on in your mind. And if you notice your mind is not paying attention to the breath, but doing something else, and just gently and patiently disengage from that other object and come back to the breath. You can always think about that thing later, some other time. Just try to have the determination that right now you're just going to pay attention to the breath coming in, going out. And if you're able to do that, you might notice that it actually makes you feel very calm, very peaceful. It's a very pleasant experience. So if you can see that, then that might help you to be more interested in staying with the breath. It's also helpful to understand that thoughts and memories are things like clouds in the sky. They come and they go, they're not permanent. So we don't have to chase our thoughts away. If we just ignore them, they will go away by themselves. That's their nature. They just come and go. They don't stay in the mind. So just let the thoughts come and go like clouds passing through the sky. And just try to stay with the breath. Try to be aware of each full inhalation and each full exhalation of each breath, one breath after another. So, learning meditation is not so different than learning other types of skills or activities like driving a car or playing tennis or playing a musical instrument. The first time you try it, you can't expect to do it perfectly, right? You feel really awkward and you just don't know what you're doing and feel like you're making all kinds of mistakes. But just as, like we say in English, practice makes perfect. The more you do it, the more you try it and practice it, the more you figure out how to do things, even how to sit still. It's difficult in the beginning just to be able to sit still, to keep your body still and in the right position. And then, work, figuring out what to do with your eyes and what to do with your nose and your mouth and all these kind of things. So just the physical part of it could be a little difficult and take time to get used to. And then the mental part, I mean, that's even more difficult because our mind is just so complex. Our mind is just amazingly complex. So, you'll probably find just thoughts shooting in and out of the mind like a busy freeway at rush hour, just thoughts and other things just going so quickly. And so you probably find it really, really hard just to stay with the breath, even for one full breath. You start to breathe in, and then before you breathe out, your mind has already gone away. So if you had that kind of experience, then it's not surprising. It's actually quite normal. But the more you do it, the more you just get practice in it, it does get easier. You learn how to deal with all these different kind of complexities and difficulties, and it does get easier, it does get better. And then, hopefully you'll start to enjoy it. You'll start to experience the benefit of meditation. So I'm just saying that in case any of you have had some difficulty. Be reassured. It's very normal. And even after years of practice, people, we still have difficulties. So it is a difficult thing to do, but it's very rewarding. I think people who do keep up a practice find that it really helps a lot. It helps them to keep their mind more calm and peaceful, and also gives you like a tool or a method for when problems happen in your life, when there's a sort of problem or crises or whatever with a relationship or with work or with yourself. So meditation is a very helpful way of just sitting down, calming down, and then being able to look at this situation, this problem with a more peaceful state of mind rather than a mind that's completely chaotic and unable to focus. So do any of you have any questions or comments or something you'd like to share or ask about? If you faced any difficulties and you didn't know how to deal with them, please ask. Or any other aspect of meditation or Buddhism you'd like to ask about? Don't be shy. This is your chance. Yeah.
Sometimes do feel slightly exhausted when I start my meditation practice. And it's like coming and going a little bit. I have felt it right now quite a lot actually. And I can't figure out when this happens. There's a pattern.
So are you saying that before you started meditating, you didn't feel exhausted, but then when you started meditating, you felt exhausted? Okay. Have you ever tried meditating in the morning?
Yes.
And did you also feel the same there?
The thing is, I've had a practice for about a year, and in the beginning of my practice, I felt quite a lot uh, exhaustion when I started, and then it kind of disappeared for a long while, and now it's kind of returning to me.
Mm.
But I'm kind of thinking that it's maybe, when you focus, for example, on your breath, that you get that I get like aware of it and kind of stresses it.
You get aware of it, meaning the exhaustion,
The breath,
the
yes,
breath.
and then the exhaustion, and it kind of gets stays there.
I guess what I'm thinking or wondering is maybe the exhaustion is already there, but you aren't so much aware of it until you start meditating. Because meditation does sort of make us hyper aware, hyper sensitive. So when we're kind of busy talking to people, doing things, we're not always aware of what's going on in our body and in our mind. But then when we sit down and we close our eyes and sit still, and then whatever's there can become much more obvious. So it could be that. It's hard for me to say. So then, are you saying that then you continue to feel exhausted the whole time you're meditating, or does it kind of
Like
go?
it kind of almost disappeared
Mm,
now, but I had to wait with it.
mm, yeah. I mean, there are different things one can do with if there's a feeling of, I don't know if what you mean by exhaustion is tiredness, like you feel like you just want to go to sleep. Is it like that?
Like almost that my breath is like slightly stressed.
Hard to breathe, you mean?
It's like I'm like catching my breath all the time.
As if you've been working really hard
Yeah.
and it's hard to breathe. I see. Hmm. Yeah, it's hard to know. I don't, in my own experience, I don't remember ever noticing that.
But I think I kind of resonate with when you're saying that it's maybe there. I was kind of stressing in here, and I come from a job, so
Yeah.
it maybe
That's why I asked you if you've ever tried meditating in the morning, and if you also feel exhausted then. Have you tried doing that?
yeah. But I don't recognize a certain pattern, so I don't think I'm exhausted in the morning. So
But that's what I mean.
yeah,
If you, because they actually say the best time to meditate is in the morning, first thing in the morning. So ideally, it's not easy for everyone, maybe not possible for everyone, but the ideal thing is to get up a little earlier than you usually do and have some time to do meditation in the morning. And they say, provided you slept well, if you had a good sleep, then when you wake up in the morning, you're refreshed and not exhausted, ideally. So that's a good time to meditate, because then your mind is fresh, your body is fresh, so the meditation should go better. But then if you've been working hard all day, and especially if you have a lot of stress in your job and so on, and then try to meditate at the end of the day, and especially if it's the first time you really sat down all day, first time you really had a chance to sit down, then that tiredness and stress that's been building up during the day, it's just going to take over you.
yeah, that makes sense really. Yeah.
So it's
Kind of been
probably,
like that today, I think.
yeah, so it's probably not the meditation that's making you exhausted. It's just the exhaustion from other things that you're doing. So if you wanted to meditate at night, it might be good to do something relaxing first, or have a nap first, or do some yoga, or go for a walk. Do something first to sort of de-stress yourself before trying to meditate. That might make a difference. Otherwise, try to meditate in the morning if you can, and then you not have that exhaustion. So they do say that, yeah, like falling asleep during meditation, or feeling sleepy during meditation is a common problem. It does happen, and there are things we can do to prevent that. One is to make sure we get enough sleep. Make sure that we're well rested. We're not overly tired, overly exhausted, overworked, and so on. So it's also recommended not to eat a big meal right before you meditate. Yeah, but leave some space. Same with yoga. Leave at least an hour, because otherwise, yeah, you're just going to fall asleep. And then also the sitting up straight helps, because I think if we're really sitting up straight, that should, I mean, this is my experience, it should kind of bring up our energy, wake up our energy, help us to be more refreshed, rather than, sitting like this. So there's a number of things that can help, but one of the most important things is just to make sure in your lifestyle is such that you are getting enough rest, getting enough sleep, and relaxation, not being overly tired, overly stressed. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's possible for you, but maybe you
Yeah,
could
it is.
try to work with that. Yeah. Yeah, I tend to think that if there are any problems that we're facing in our life, and maybe during our life we're just trying to push them aside and ignore them and not deal with them and so on, then when we sit down and meditate, those problems will probably come up in front of us, and we can't really run away from them. So I tend to think whatever problems we experience in meditation are problems that are already there in our life, but we just haven't been dealing with them. But in fact, meditation is a method for facing our problems and working with them and dealing with them and getting beyond them, not running away from them. But that's a big issue. Our problems. How to deal with our problems. I mean, this is our life work. Even if you have one problem and you work with it for a while and you get beyond it, oh, that's finally gone. And then sometime later, another problem will come up. But that's okay, because problems are ways, it's like something juicy, something rich, something you can learn from. So the idea of meditation isn't, okay, I'm going to get rid of all my problems and then I will practice meditation, but more like we use meditation as a way of working with our problems, dealing with our problems, learning from them, growing from them. So it's not a bad thing, not something to feel discouraged about, or weary, tired, bored. In fact, they have a whole section of teachings in Tibetan Buddhism about how to deal with problems, how to transform problems into the path, into the practice of meditation, and even into happiness. There's a book by Lama Zopa Rinpoche, my teacher. I think it's called Transforming Problems into Happiness. So, yeah, problems aren't bad things. It's just a question of knowing how to work with them, how to deal with them. They can be delicious, nourishing, exciting. So maybe if there's no other questions, we could have our break now. So upstairs there's drinks, coffee, tea, mint tea, or herbal tea, cookies, fruits. So On? Yeah. Okay. Yes, it is. Okay. So, so I'll just explain a little bit this other type of meditation that we do in the Tibetan tradition. So it is said that all the different kinds of meditations that there are, of which there are many, they can all be put into two groups, two types of meditation. And the first is meditations for concentration. That's for developing a concentrated state of mind, being able to stay on just one object for long periods of time without wandering away to other things or being sleepy and so on. So it's like a very sharp and clear and focused state of mind. So, so there's a whole body of teachings on how to develop concentration. It takes time, it takes effort, and not easy to do in a place like Copenhagen because you ideally need to be in a really quiet, peaceful place and not using your phone and your internet and going to work and so on. So you kind of pretty much have to go off into a quiet place and just focus on doing that kind of practice to really get concentration. But you can still do concentration meditation living in a place like Copenhagen and going to work and so on. So even if you just spend 5 minutes a day or 10 minutes a day doing meditation like the one we just did, is focusing on the breath and coming back to the breath when it wanders away. So even just doing that for a short time each day can help you to slowly get more familiar with a concentrated state of mind. And it does have a calming effect on the body and mind. So it's a good, it's like, yeah, just a good thing to do for you, for your physical and mental well-being, to do some meditation like that every day. um, and and we were doing this meditation with the breath, using the breath, but you don't have to use the breath. You can use other objects. For some people, the breath is just perfect. For myself, example, I love the breath, but not everybody does. Some people don't like the breath, and they prefer some other object. So you can use, for example, a Buddha image. Just mentally visualize a Buddha image. In fact, they say you can develop concentration using just about any kind of object, even like a flower or a rock or just something that you focus on. Okay, so that's one type of meditation for developing concentration. And then the other kind of meditation practice is for developing what is called insight, or maybe we can also say wisdom. So this kind of meditation is for changing our way of thinking, our sort of mental habits, our mental attitudes, those that are incorrect, mistaken, unhealthy, and so on. So we want to change those, reduce those, and develop mental habits that are more correct and more helpful and more healthy and positive and beneficial. And so in this category, there's many, many different kinds of meditations. For example, the Buddha's first teaching, the first teaching that the Buddha gave is on the Four Noble Truths. And that's like a very important teaching that pretty much summarizes everything that he ever taught in his whole career. So they can all be summarized in the Four Noble Truths. So the Four Noble Truths, it's actually very profound. And it's not enough just to read about the Four Noble Truths and then think, oh, yeah, I know what that means. Or even think about it and think, yeah, Four Noble Truths is this and this and this and this. That's not enough. What we really need to do is to really contemplate the Four Noble Truths, meditate on them. And again and again, not just once, but again and again, and really get a better and deeper understanding of the Four Noble Truths. And by doing that, we actually completely change our mind. And if we do it enough and do it right, we can, make our mind more and more like the Buddha's mind. So that kind of meditation is this second type. It's sometimes called analytical meditation, and it involves thinking, contemplating, um, and bringing in different ideas from your own experience or the experience of others, using reasons and so forth, things that you read in Buddhist texts and so forth. So you kind of bring in all these different ideas and you think about them and meditate on them, and you do this again and again, and eventually you get to the point where you have a real understanding, not just intellectual, but like direct uh, realization of a particular topic. So that's the kind of meditation that really changes our mind. It really transforms our mind. It does this work of transforming our mind from an ordinary unenlightened mind into an enlightened mind, like the Buddha. So I'm just introducing this kind of meditation here, pointing out that it does exist. And then I thought that we could do a meditation of this type, of this category, just so you can get an experience of it. And yeah, I thought maybe it would be nice to do a meditation on loving kindness. That's always nice to do. I like doing it anyway, and that can give us a kind of taste or an experience of this kind of meditation. So ideally, you learn how to do this meditation and then you do it on your own. But in the beginning, it's hard to do it on your own. So it's good to be in a situation like this with other people and have somebody guiding you. So I will be talking part of the time during the meditation and then just giving you some time to contemplate, to think about what I'm saying. So we still need to have a certain amount of concentration in this kind of meditation so that we stay on the topic and not start thinking about other things. So you still have to kind of look at your mind, watch your mind, and see, what's my mind doing? Am I doing the meditation that I'm supposed to be doing, or am I thinking about, what I'm going to be doing tonight, tomorrow, next week, or whatever? So if you do notice your mind has wandered away from the meditation, um, I'm try to try to take your mind away from that other object. You can just say to yourself, "Not now, later. I'll think about that later." It's not so important that you have to think about that thing right now. So put it aside until later, and then come back to here and now. Come back to the present, where we are, what we're doing, and the meditation that we're doing. And then if sleepiness happens, so if you find yourself feeling sleepy, then one thing you can do is to try to sit up straight. That can help to wake up your energy, and also your eyes. So closing the eyes does make it easier to be sleepy. So if you are feeling sleepy, it can help to open your eyes a little. And if you have your eyes looking down on like the floor in front of you, whatever's in front of you, just have your eyes looking down like that. So then you have some light coming into your eyes, and that can help you to stay awake. But your eyes aren't open so wide that you get distracted by seeing other people and things in the room. So that's just a remedy to sleepiness if it happens. Okay, so make yourselves comfortable, and you can try to sit the way I mentioned earlier. Have your back straight, but your shoulders relaxed, and hands resting in your lap or on your knees, or whichever way is comfortable. Have your jaw and mouth relaxed, mouth closed unless you need to breathe in and out through your mouth. And have your tongue touching the roof of your mouth behind the upper teeth. And then if you wish, you can close your eyes or leave them open a little so there's some light coming in to help you stay awake. And again, you can start by taking a few deep breaths. So breathe in slowly, deeply, as much as you can. Hold your breath just for a moment and then let it go out slowly. And imagine any tension there may be in your body or mind going out with the breath. Imagine breathing it out and it just vanishes, it disappears in space. So do that for a few breaths, maybe 3 breaths, and then just breathe normally after that. So, so now we're going to do a meditation on loving kindness. So this meditation is done to try to have more loving kindness in our heart, to have it for more people and more of the time, not just once in a while, but try to have more loving kindness in our mind, in our heart, in our life. And this is a good thing. It's good for others because everybody likes to feel loved, cared for. So it brings more happiness to others. But it's also good for ourselves because it's a beautiful state of mind, a beautiful feeling to have. So when we can have more love in our mind and our heart, we will feel happier. We will feel better. So we already do feel love. It is a feeling that we have. So let's start by just trying to get in touch with that feeling. Try to bring it up in our mind and our heart. And one way to do that is to think of somebody you do love. And I'm not talking here about romantic love, like falling in love, but more just this feeling of caring that we have for other people, such as our family members, mother, father, brothers, sisters. If you're a parent, then this would be how you feel towards your children. Or if you have pets, you have a pet dog or cat, then this is the feeling you would have towards your pet. So bring to mind one person or being towards whom you easily feel this way, this feeling of, oh, I really care about that person and that being, and I like being with them, and I like to take care of them and give them things and do things for them. So bring to mind someone like that, and then just allow the feeling of love, loving kindness to come up in your heart. So even if you aren't able to bring that feeling up in your mind or in your heart right now, that's okay. Sometimes it might get stuck somewhere. So we can still carry on with the meditation and just try the best we can to feel that way. So sometimes we find it easier to love other people, but not ourselves. Sometimes when it comes to ourselves, we may feel angry, annoyed, irritated, critical, even hateful towards ourselves. This is quite a common problem in Western countries. And it's not good, it's not healthy. We need to love ourselves just as we need to love others. And having anger and hatred towards ourselves is actually quite harmful and something we need to work on. So let's see if we can try to generate a feeling of love or loving kindness for ourselves. So, one way we can do that is to just go inside our hearts and get in touch with the feeling of wanting to be happy. Just like a little voice inside of us that says, I just want to be happy and I don't want to be unhappy. I don't want to suffer. I want happiness, not suffering. And don't think there is anything wrong with wanting to be happy. Don't think it is selfish to wish for happiness. We actually should be happy. According to Buddhism, we deserve to be happy. We should be happy. We have the right to be happy. So it's not wrong to want happiness. It's completely okay. So now see if you can wish happiness for yourself. That's actually the meaning of love in Buddhism. Loving kindness is the wish for happiness for others and for yourself. So it may not be easy to actually feel that, but it can be helpful to say to ourselves those words. Just say to yourself words such as, may I be happy. I wish myself to be happy. May I be free of suffering and problems. I wish that I could be free of suffering and problems. May I be healthy and safe, protected from danger. May I have all the things that I need and all the things that I wish for in order to be really happy. Again, don't worry if you weren't able to really feel loving kindness for yourself. It may be something that will take time to develop. So it's enough just to say those words to ourselves and try to develop those feelings. And if we do that again and again, then slowly the feeling will come. So now let's see if we can generate loving kindness for another person. So let's start with somebody we like already. We feel it's easy to love, it's easy to care about. So you could think of the same person you thought about before, or you could think of some other person, someone in your family, a friend. Bring to mind one person who's easy to love. And you can imagine that person sitting in front of you, facing you. So then, as you're looking at that person, generate loving kindness for that person. And we can do that by again saying words to ourselves, such as, may you be happy. I wish you to be happy. May you be free of suffering and problems. May you be healthy and safe, protected from harm and danger. May you have everything you need in order to be happy and free of problems. And it's also nice to think about the things that would make the person happy. And imagine giving those things to the person, or imagine the person getting those things and having those things and being happy. Now let's try to generate a feeling of loving kindness for someone we're not so close to, someone who's a little more distant from us. So here you could think of a relative, a family member that you're not so close to, you don't know so well. Or you could think of someone you work with, or a neighbor, or classmate if you're a student. Someone you don't hate, but you just don't feel very close to. You could also just choose one of the other people here in this room that you don't know very well. So think of someone like that. And again, imagine that person in front of you. And then understand that this person is basically just like you and just like the other one you thought about before. They're a human being, and they have within their mind, within their heart, the wish to be happy. This person wants to be happy just as you do, and wants to be free of suffering and problems just as you do. Now see if you can think or feel how nice it would be if this person could be happy and could be free of suffering and problems. And then let's say those same words that we said before, but thinking about this person. You just say to yourself words like, may you be happy. I wish you to be happy. May you be free of suffering and problems. May you be healthy and safe, free of harm and danger. May you have all the things you need to be happy. And it might be nice to imagine giving a gift to this person, giving something to this person, and imagining them looking happy, being happy. Now just think how nice it would be if we could feel this way towards more and more people. If we could have the same feeling of love, caring, wishing them to be happy, wishing them to be free of suffering for more and more people and more of the time. Can you see that that would be a nice thing to do? So that's just to give you an idea on how it is possible to meditate on loving kindness and generate more of that feeling of loving kindness in our heart. So, like I said during the meditation, if you didn't manage to actually feel it, then don't worry. Many people have that experience. They sit through a loving kindness meditation and then they think, I don't feel anything. So I had that problem in the beginning. Yeah. And then I get really frustrated and I think, oh, what's wrong with me? Something's wrong with me. But slowly, the more you do it, the more you try it and work on it, then the feeling does start to come. So don't give up. But maybe for some people, it's really easy. You're able to feel this strong feeling right from the beginning. So, so the point is, that if we do this kind of meditation, we try, even if it's just trying to generate the feeling of loving kindness, then what we're doing is we're bringing up that feeling. It's already there within us, but we're just sort of bringing it up, bringing it out, making our mind more and more familiar with it. Because that's actually the meaning of the word for meditation in Tibetan language. The word for meditation literally means becoming familiar. So, what we're doing in meditation is we are making our minds familiar with certain positive states of mind, such as loving kindness, compassion, wisdom. So, we bring up those states of mind and then we try to keep them there in our mind longer and longer and longer, more and more and more. Not just when we're sitting in meditation like this, but trying to do it outside of meditation as well. It's not like we sit there and we generate loving kindness and then we finish our meditation and we go out and start yelling at people and being mean to them and so on. So not like that. The point is to generate this feeling of loving kindness and then try to bring it outside of meditation and into our relationships and our way of behaving with people and so on. And the more you do it, I can say this from my experience, definitely, the more you do it, the easier it gets. The more you are able to feel it, even with people who are really annoying and difficult. I've been doing this with my neighbors. Not that I'm not saying they're bad people, but they make noise sometimes that I find irritating. But I find that, just generating loving kindness for them really helps so much. It really helps to not feel so annoyed and be happy for them if they're making noise. Oh, isn't that wonderful? They're having a party. I hope they're having a good time. No, it really works. It's kind of like magic. So it really helps. And you had a what was about this?
I do it every day. I have a version of it. I have a little post-it on my laptop, and I have conference calls every day with my work. And so before I get on a conference call, which I don't always enjoy, it's actually from your book, and it says, and I just wish them well. Everybody who I'm about to talk to, I just say, may you be happy, may you be safe and free from danger, and may you be free from suffering. And there's another line I can't remember, but I just take a couple seconds before I talk to them and wish them well, and then it usually makes my conversations go a little smoother.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Oh, I believe in it completely. I mean, if we are in a state of kindness and caring and concern for others, definitely it's not definite because I guess if somebody's really angry and really aggressive, that might not make any difference. But I think most of the time it will make a difference in the way we react, in the way we act towards others and the way they feel and the way they respond in return. So I think it's kind of, at least it helps. It's better than coming from anger and aggression and all this kind of things. Yeah. So the more you do this kind of meditation, the more your mind becomes familiar with this state of mind, and then you're able to bring it more and more into your life and your relationships and your work and even with presidents and prime ministers and all these kind of people that so it definitely helps, makes things better. Okay, we have just a few minutes left, so if anyone has a question, I can try to take care of that. Otherwise, I'm starting to get tired. It's my bedtime. Yep. So, did you want to say anything, Mikkel? Huh? Oh, I just wondered if you wanted to make an announcement or something official. Okay. Okay, so let's just take a few moments to make a mental dedication of what we've done here tonight. So we spent this time together doing meditation and generating these positive states of mind. So this is a good thing to do. And we did generate some positive energy. So we can share that positive energy with others just by wishing that it will bring more peace, more happiness, more love and compassion and wisdom and other good qualities into the minds of other people and other beings all over the world, all over the planet, all over the universe. And may this help to reduce war and violence and terrorism and all the harmful things that people do to each other. So may everyone stop hurting each other and instead help each other more and more. Bring more love and kindness into their relationships. And may it help all of us get closer to enlightenment, the fulfillment of our highest potential. Okay. Thank you for coming, and I wish you all the best. Good night.